Q&A module. In this module, we address specific questions we receive regarding fireworks. Some of the questions may also be addressed in other modules. Let's begin. Question 1. What is a fireworks fountain device? A fountain device is a specific type of 1.4G firework that is non-aerial and non-report producing, that contains not more than 75 grams of the non-explosive pyrotechnic mixture in any individual tube and not more than 500 grams or less for multiple tubes. It is recognized and manufactured in accordance with sections 3.1.1 and 3.5 of APA Standard 87-1, the 2001 edition. A fountain device is a ground-based or handheld sparkler with one or more tubes containing a non-explosive pyrotechnic mixture that produces a shower of sparks upon ignition with or without additional effects that may include a colored flame, audible crackling effect, audible whistle effect, or smoke. Question 2. What are novelties and trick noisemakers? Novelties and trick noisemakers are devices that produce a small report intended to surprise the user, including but not limited to booby traps, cigarette loads, party poppers, and snappers, snakes or glowworms, smoke devices, trick matches. A license is not required to sell novelties and trick noisemakers in Ohio. Question 3. What is the consumer-grade fireworks fee? For the purpose of providing revenue to fund firefighting training programs and the enforcement and regulation of the fireworks industry, a fee is imposed on licensed retailers, licensed manufacturers, and licensed wholesalers selling 1.4G fireworks in this state. The fee must equal 4% of the gross receipts of a licensed manufacturer or licensed wholesaler from retail sales of 1.4G fireworks in this state. The fee is effective May 18, 2022. A retail sale of 1.4G fireworks is made in this state only if the purchaser intends to use the fireworks and not resell them, and receives the 1.4G fireworks at a location in this state. What is the consumer-grade fireworks fee used for? All money collected shall be credited to the Fireworks Fee Receipt Fund, which is hereby created in the State Treasury. 7/8 of the money in the fund shall be used by the State Fire Marshal solely to fund firefighter training programs. Remaining money in the fund shall be used solely to pay expenses of the State Fire Marshal in performing the duties prescribed by Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 3743. Number 5. What if a licensed retailer, licensed manufacturer, or licensed wholesaler fails to timely report and remit the full amount of the fee as required? If the State Fire Marshal determines that a licensed retailer, licensed manufacturer, or licensed wholesaler fails to timely report and remit the full amount of the fee as required by Ohio Revised Code, Section 3743.22, the State Fire Marshal may do either of the following. Order in writing the retailer, wholesaler, or manufacturer to report and remit to the State Fire Marshal within a specified period of time any such underpayment. Revoke or deny renewal of the licensed retailer, manufacturer, or wholesaler, which shall subject the licensee to the consequences prescribed in Division D of Section 3743.08 of the Revised Code, or Division D of Section 3743.21 of the Revised Code. Both of these Revised Code sections further explain license suspension, revocation, and renewal denial. Number 6. Is a safety pamphlet and glasses required to be furnished to each purchaser of consumer fireworks? A licensed retailer, licensed manufacturer, or licensed wholesaler must furnish a copy of a safety pamphlet to each purchaser of 1.4G fireworks. Safety glasses must be made available for a nominal charge or free at the site of the 1.4G fireworks purchase in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 3743.47. Number 7. What is quick match? Quick match is a black match that is encased in a loose-fitting paper or plastic sheath to make it burn rapidly. Quick match is used for aerial shells and for simultaneous ignition of a number of pyrotechnic devices, such as lances, in a ground display piece. What is a dud? A dud is a shell or any device that leaves the mortar but fails to function in the air, coming back down unexploded. What is an electric match? An electric match is a device that contains a small amount of pyrotechnic material that ignites when an electric current flows through it. When a sufficient electric current is passed through the wire circuit, the heat that is generated ignites the pyrotechnic composition, producing a small burst of flame. This flame can be used to ignite a fuse or a lift charge in a fireworks device. Number 10. What is considered hazardous debris during a fireworks exhibition? At a fireworks exhibition, hazardous debris is any debris produced or expelled by the functioning of a pyrotechnic device that is capable of causing personal injury or unpredicted property damage. Number 11. How do you secure the mortar racks for the fireworks show? Racks should be secured to prevent tipping over. Mortar racks can be secured by attaching stakes or spikes driven into the ground, banding, using A-frames, or other equivalent means. Above-ground wood frame mortar racks with lightweight mortar materials such as paper, HDPE, or fiberglass generally will not withstand a catastrophic aerial shell malfunction in a mortar. And you can reference NFPA 1123 Section A4.6.1 for more information. There are a variety of techniques depending on what type of surface you are shooting from. Sandbags, trenches, boxes, screens, or barriers are additional methods used to secure aerial fireworks devices. The authority having jurisdiction, also known as the AHJ, will be the final judge as to what is acceptable. The fire safety inspector must be confident that the racks are set up and secured in a way that will allow for an incident-free exhibition. The important thing is that the racks and mortars are secured in an upright and safe position and stay secure throughout the show. As a shell lifts from the rack, it does so with enough intensity to move or damage the tubes and whatever shells are left in the rack. If a rack is not safely secured, it may fall over and the remaining shells will discharge into the crowd. If the rack is too unyielding, the force of a shell firing may damage the rack and/or any shells yet to be fired. This creates a situation where the remaining shells are being fired from unstable or damaged tubes and/or racks. Mortars buried within drums or troughs are not considered to be buried in the ground. If troughs and drums are used, they must be filled with sand or soft dirt, and in all cases must be free of stones or other potentially dangerous debris. Troughs must be reinforced or braced in a minimum of 2 places on the sides at intervals not greater than every 4 feet, which is 1.2 meters. Mortars must be buried to a depth of at least 2/3 of their length, either in the ground or in above ground troughs or drums. Question 12. Why are some racks at an angle? Aerial shells, comets and mines, and Roman candles and cakes are permitted to be angled for a display to allow for wind and to carry their effects away from the main spectator viewing area. The mortars or tubes must be angled so that any dud shells or components will drop in the fallout area. Number 13. What is required by fireworks manufacturers, wholesalers, shippers, and exhibitors if a theft or loss of fireworks occur? Fireworks manufacturers, wholesalers, shippers, and exhibitors must report any theft or loss of any fireworks to the local law enforcement agency within 24 hours after the discovery of the theft or loss, and shall send a copy of the report prepared by the local law enforcement agency to the state fire marshal. If such report is unavailable, the manufacturer, wholesaler, shipper, or exhibitor must notify the state fire marshal of the investigating law enforcement agency. In the event of such theft or loss of any fireworks or pyrotechnic devices, the local fire code official must cooperate with the state fire marshal in conducting a joint investigation of the circumstances. Number 14. Consumer discharge laws require that fire departments immediately report incidents. How does the fire service report incidents? Any consumer fireworks discharge incident must be reported to the fire code official and law enforcement official immediately. A consumer fireworks discharge incident is any act or omission that occurs at a location where 1.4G fireworks are purchased, possessed, handled, stored, used, or discharged that results in injury or death, or a substantial risk of injury or death to any person, or results in property damage in excess of $1,000, and that involves either the discharge, handling, or other use, or the results of the discharge, handling, or other use of 1.4G fireworks or associated materials, or The failure of any person to comply with any applicable requirements imposed by Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 3743, or the Ohio Fire Code. The fire code official must immediately make a report regarding the fireworks incident and shall forward a copy of the report to the state fire marshal within 72 hours of the incident. The report must provide the time, date, and location where the consumer fireworks discharge incident occurred, the name, address, and telephone number of all of the following as applicable: the person who was conducting the discharge, any person who discharged fireworks that resulted in an injury or death, the owner of the property where the discharge occurred, the owner of the property where the injury or damage occurred, the persons injured or fatally injured as a result of the discharge, and any other person present during the discharge. For local agencies requesting a state fire marshal investigator, they are available 24/7 at 1-800-589-2728. Choose option 1. Number 15. Can consumers store 1.4G fireworks they purchased at retail? What is the maximum amount of 1.4G fireworks consumers can store? And for how long? Yes, consumer fireworks possessed in accordance with Chapter 3743 of the Revised Code and the Ohio Fire Code shall be handled carefully and with due consideration of the explosive nature of fireworks. Consumer fireworks must be stored in compliance with all applicable provisions of the Ohio Fire Code and not in a manner that endangers the public at large. Consumer fireworks are to be stored in amounts not greater than 125 pounds net weight pyrotechnic composition within any structure, building, or vehicle. They must be stored at least 150 feet from other explosives, explosive material, or hazardous materials. Stored in a cool, dry place away from ignition sources, including but not limited to heat, shock, friction, and sparks, and at least 25 feet from hot work activity, open flames, and flammable and combustible liquids, including but not limited to gasoline, diesel fuel, and kerosene. Quantity limits and separation distances may be increased by the fire marshal for 1.4G fireworks that are properly permitted in accordance with the Ohio Fire Code and stored in a magazine. 1.4G fireworks shall not be stored in sleeping areas, within means of egress, in mechanical or service areas of any occupancy group or residential location, or outside in open areas, unless the 1.4G fireworks are properly permitted in accordance with the Ohio Fire Code and stored in a magazine. 1.4G fireworks shall not be stored at any occupancy or within any residential facility licensed under Title 37 of the Revised Code. Number 16. Do you need a fireworks exhibition permit to use cold spark or cold pyro machines? Within the Ohio Administrative Code, Section 1301, 7-7-02, definitions, the Ohio Fire Code defines flame effect as the combustion of solids, liquids, or gases to produce thermal, physical, visual, or audible phenomena before an audience. Flame effect includes, but is not limited to, cold spark devices. Currently, the Ohio Fire Code references the 2011 edition of NFPA 160, standard for the use of flame effects before an audience. Therefore, all cold spark or cold pyro machines need to be permitted accordingly with a licensed flame effect exhibitor. That concludes our Q&A session. We hope you find this module to be helpful.